Is that okay? If we could ask everyone to, I was going to say everyone take a seat, but it looks like the seats are taken. So everybody that can't take a seat, take a stand. And take a stand for housing, and take a stand for seniors, and take a stand for the work that has to be done to lift our community up to what its potential is for caring for individuals. I can't even express how happy I am that the governor and his office chose this site to announce his innovative and compassionate plan for housing that is so desperately needed in our state. Can you hear me back there? Okay. So my name is Joe Duffy, and I'm the CEO at New Cortland. And New Cortland this is a project that we did. We just opened it last June, and this is a project that's a result of the work that we did with the governor's office starting 4 years ago, throughout this process. This was Eastern Pennsylvania Psychiatric Hospital for 70 years, and it was sat vacant for a long time. So we don't have time to talk too much about the property, but there is going to be tours afterwards for anybody that wants to take a tour. And at that point, I'll give you more details. For those that don't have time today, you're welcome back anytime for that, to do a tour in the property, okay? So I would, first of all, before I turn the mic over to the governor, we have I'd like to say, we have honored guests, but I don't use that expression for the people that I'm going to highlight. I'm going to use that expression to say all of you are honored guests. Okay, because without you, the governors and the senators and the representatives' work doesn't get done. And without the team and people at New Cortland who care about the seniors we care for, this work doesn't go. So everybody here is a very honored guest, and you're welcome with the most generous heart that we could offer to you. So on behalf of my senior manager team and our board members that are here, thank you for being here today. In addition, we have our local senator, Senator Hughes, here. And Senator Hughes, I just told the governor downstairs, stood in the mud with us. I feel like it's 6 years ago, give or take a half a year, and told me I owed him new shoes because he got mud on his shoes. And I told him that when we're done paying for the house, we'll see if we can do that, but it didn't happen. So, Senator Savelle, who has been a compassionate advocate for seniors and for formerly incarcerated individuals, where he and I collaborated on a conversation months back. The work that we are so gifted in Pennsylvania by the leadership that we have, and we're gifted in Philadelphia by the leadership we have, which make projects like this possible. And a longtime New Cortland friend is Tarek Khan, Representative Khan. Before he was a representative, he worked in two places that are dear to my heart. One, he volunteered when he was getting his nursing degree at a place called Melmark, where my daughter lives, and is a special needs individual. And then he worked at New Cortland, where he did his dissertation on the work that we do for homeless individuals at New Cortland. So he's been a longtime friend, and we're grateful for him. So Representative Solomon is here. I can't see with the light, so I apologize. And Representative Harris is here. Representative Savelle is here. Ron Green, I believe. I haven't seen Ron, but no one I haven't seen is here. Anthony Bellman, young energy, fighting for the city of Philadelphia every day. Everywhere I go, he's there. So thanks so much. Sean Doherty, thank you for being here. So with no further ado, we're here afterwards. We're going to turn this over to the Senate, to the governor. And again, thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for bringing the team.
Thank you. Joe, thank you. Thank you not just for having us here at the Tower at Henry, but thank you for dedicating your life's work to creating community for people, to ensure folks have a roof over their head, a safe place to live, and an opportunity to build their dreams right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We appreciate you, and I want to absolve you of any requirement to buy Hughes any more shoes. You're good. He's got plenty of fancy shoes, and he'll be just fine. But I do really appreciate you making note of all the elected leaders who are here. You're going to hear from several of them. This is a team game, and everybody has to work together to get stuff done. Housing is an example of that, and I've got great teammates who you're going to hear from throughout this day. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. This is a joyous day. I can see that expression on your faces. I wanted to be here, specifically here today, to make this important announcement, because this beautifully redone apartment building, well, this represents the kind of progress we want to make all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. An abandoned building, you heard before, that sat dormant for way too long, turned into 173 apartments for seniors, for working families, for young professionals, and a whole lot more. The tower at Henry has both affordable units and market rate units and commercial space. This is an example of what we need more of across Pennsylvania. And it was made possible by the real support that was generated by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for this project. We supported this project with nearly $1 million in tax credits through the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority under Robin Weissman's leadership. Those dollars drove real impact and have created hundreds of new homes here in this Philly area. But we need more of that across our Commonwealth because, as we all know right now, housing prices and rent are too damn high for too many. The American dream of owning a home no longer feels possible for many of our neighbors. And over the half of the homes all across Pennsylvania are more than 50 years old. Over half the homes in Pennsylvania are more than 50 years old, necessitating a lot of dollars to be able to keep them up to date. At the same time, Pennsylvania ranks at the bottom when it comes to new housing development. If we do not take action right now, Pennsylvania will be short 185,000 housing units by the year 2035. Now is the time for action. Since the dad took office, I've worked hard to deliver more affordable housing all across our Commonwealth. That's why our administration, working with the leaders of the General Assembly who are here today, made sure that we would double the available funding for FAIR, the largest, most flexible, most effective tool in our toolbox to build and repair affordable housing in Pennsylvania. And over the last 3 years, we have funded more than 1,000 projects to build or repair over 8,000 units of housing through FAIR and all across Pennsylvania. That's real progress, but I'm here to tell you that is not enough on its own. What we really need is a long-term strategy that brings together all different groups who are doing this work, builds on their expertise, and tackles housing access and affordability from every single angle, working together. A strategy that looks at housing not just from an economic perspective, but from a public health and individual health perspective. So a little more than a year ago, I signed an executive order to create Pennsylvania's first ever housing action plan. And since then, our team has been hard at work, and today I came back to report on that progress. I want to give a special thanks to 3 members of my cabinet who worked so diligently on this. Secretary Akbar Hussain, my Secretary of Policy, Secretary Val Arkush, the Secretary of the Department of Human Services, and Secretary Rick Seiger, the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development. I know they are strangers to no one in this room, and they deserve a lot of credit for getting us here to this point. I also want to acknowledge all the folks who are in this room today. You know firsthand about the good work of those members of my cabinet because you've been engaged in that work every step of the way, from homeowners to renters to landlords and developers. You're all here in this room today. Lenders and tenant advocates, housing service providers, organized labor led by Ryan Boyer, local governments, county governments, and state elected officials. We collected feedback over this last year's process from 2,500 unique Pennsylvanians and from each of our 67 counties. We held 18 different roundtable meetings to solicit people's inputs, ranging from rural Huntingdon County to right here in Philly. We made sure to engage every group that has a stake in Pennsylvania's future housing plan, including those with unique housing needs like our seniors and people with disability. We took their feedback and listened to what they really needed, what's working and what isn't. The operative word being listened. That is what we did. And the work that we are here to announce today is a result of that listening process. So today, I'm proud to be here in Philly to unveil Pennsylvania's first ever Housing Action Plan, a long-term plan This is a long-term plan to cut costs, to build more affordable housing, to break down barriers that have kept Pennsylvanians from finding that home for far too long. Our plan has 5 basic components to it. Let me explain. First, we must build more housing in Pennsylvania, and we must do a better job of preserving what is already here. Second, we need to cut the red tape that keeps Pennsylvanians from becoming homeowners and strengthen protections for tenants in our Commonwealth. Third, we can reduce housing insecurity by increasing access to resources and support for families that are having trouble making ends meet. Fourth, we must modernize our regulations and zoning restrictions so we can speed up development. You've seen us speed up every other aspect of government. We are now a national model on efficiency, particularly when it comes to permitting. We can be the same thing when it comes to housing here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And fifth and finally, my plan calls for increasing coordination between state and local governments to improve accountability and transparency for Pennsylvania. Look, taking together, these 5 pillars will help us deliver more housing for Pennsylvanians, built faster and at a far better, more affordable price. I know this is an ambitious plan and one that calls for consistent progress over the next 10 years. But I think we've proven we can do big things in Pennsylvania. And this is an example of the continuation of thinking big, of dreaming big, and of acting big. If we execute on it, Pennsylvania will go from the bottom of the pack to being a national leader when it comes to housing construction. We'll bring down the cost of building and construction and maintaining homes. We will reduce homelessness to the lowest levels in the entire region, and we'll create new opportunities for millions of Pennsylvanians. But listen, while this is a long-term plan, you know I'm competitive and you know I don't like standing still. My administration is already at work implementing this plan. Let me explain. I laid out in very clear terms in my budget address about a week ago the things that we need to do immediately. And that's not just dollars and cents. It's also the reforms that we need that are, unfortunately, because of our rules, shutting people out from accessing safe, affordable housing. That's why my budget calls for a series of housing reforms to protect renters and homeowners, from capping the amount landlords can charge for rental application fees to sealing eviction records for individuals who were never actually evicted, to authorizing transfer on death deeds for primary residents, which will help people like Unique, who you're going to hear from in a moment. My budget calls for limiting annual lot rentals for manufactured home communities, and it addresses the challenges of building housing directly and head-on. You see, I think one of the most effective ways we can lower the cost of housing is by simply building more of it. It's a simple supply and demand concept. That starts at the very local level, where zoning laws and ordinances vary across our 2,560 different municipalities. Yet right now, get this, we don't even have a catalog in Pennsylvania of all of those different rules. We need to, and we will make one very soon, so that we can help local governments understand what's actually working and what's actually inhibiting our progress in this space. It also means modernizing the municipal planning code to where it makes sense and to cut red tape to make things move quicker. It means creating statewide standards for accessory dwelling units, facilitating more transit-oriented development, and streamlining mixed-use development on main streets and commercial corridors. It also means making a major new investment in housing construction across Pennsylvania. To do that, I included in my state budget $1 billion for a new critical infrastructure fund to build housing all across our Commonwealth. There is overwhelming demand in rural and urban and suburban communities for this type of fund. And let's be clear, folks have been talking about this for a long time. We are acting boldly, and we are going to get this done. And there is real need. Let me explain. As part of our PA Sites initiative that we were able to pass through bipartisan legislation about 3 years ago, my administration took $10 million of that $500 million that was available for site development across our Commonwealth for a pilot program that was designed to focus on supporting mixed-use development, the kind of development that we are standing in right here today. We made $10 million available, and we received more than $470 million in really terrific requests. We have proven that the need is there. And so in just a few weeks, we'll be announcing which projects we're funding, and it is clear that we need hundreds of millions of dollars more to meet the needs, to meet the demands of Pennsylvanians, and to be able to be there for the communities that want to do this work. They just need our support to be able to get it across the goal line. This is a major priority for me, and I know for all of the other elected leaders assembled here in this room, and we are hitting the ground running. I've assigned a senior person in my administration to lead this work going forward. Secretary Seiger will speak about that in just a few moments. Look, I'm going to close with this. I believe having a home or an apartment that you can call your own and raise a family in, where you can build a productive life and chart your own course for success, I believe that is a key element of the American dream, of the Pennsylvania dream. And I believe it is incumbent upon all of us to help more people achieve that. I think it is also essential for our economy. Employers need to know that when they locate a business here, or they grow a business here, that they'll be able to hire skilled workers, and that those workers will have a good place to live nearby. We have done an incredible job growing our economy thanks to our economic development strategy led by Secretary Seiger. We're bringing in major new employers to Pennsylvania. Consider this, for 31 straight months, Pennsylvania's unemployment rate has been below the national rate. We've attracted more than 30,000 new jobs to our Commonwealth, almost $40 billion in private sector investment. We literally have the only growing economy in the northeastern part of the United States. Our strategy is working. Our economy is growing. But when we attract all these new people to our Commonwealth, they need a place to live, and they need a place to be able to raise their families. And we need to support the kind of economic growth that we've been talking about for years. Do you know our economy has grown in the last 2 years combined more than the last 15 years combined? What we're doing is working. And now we need our housing market to catch up to the growth that we are seeing. This plan today lays out our future strategy. This plan today has real teeth to it, real dollars behind it, real constructive reforms behind it that's going to help us build more housing. And this plan is a result of all of us working together, Democrat, Republican, rural, urban, and suburban. And what we've proven here in Pennsylvania is that we can come together. And when we come together, good things happen for our neighbors. And so I look forward to partnering with all of you going forward. And while I appreciate all the hard work you did to help us build this plan, this is just the beginning. We need you to stay engaged. We need you to stay at the table. And we're going to continue to get this done for the people of Pennsylvania. This entire plan was written with one thing in mind. How can we make a Pennsylvanian's life a little bit better off? How can we take all the expertise in this room and advance the cause and do good things for folks? One of those individuals who will benefit when this plan goes into effect is Unique Carr. She can speak to the fact that we not only need dollars, like that $1 billion critical infrastructure fund to build more housing, but we need real reforms. They're going to help take away the red tape, take away the headaches that unfortunately for too long have existed for Pennsylvanians, and instead give them the opportunity to have a roof over their head, to gain more prosperity and gain more opportunity. So I want to thank you all for being here today, and I want you to meet my friend Unique Carr, who's going to speak about her experiences. Thank you very, very much. Thanks, Unique.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. On August 31st, 2021, my daughter and I lost a very important person in both of our lives. Her father, Stanley Tasheen Carter. Not only were we dealing with the loss of our loved one, but we were also in danger of losing our home and headed to foreclosure. My daughter grew up in this house, and our memories in this home meant everything to us. Losing it would be like losing another heartbreak, 20 years of precious memories. My daughter and I at the time, my daughter at the time was too young to take over the property, and Tasheen and I were not legally married. I went in search of legal help, knowing the possibilities of winning this case were slim to none. I had a total of 6 attorneys turn me down, stating that this case was way too complicated. I finally received a call from Anna Brickman from Community Legal Services. She not only took the time to hear my case, but she knew that it was worth fighting for. If it wasn't for Anna willing to fight for us to stay in our home, we would have lost the next best thing that we had left in connection to Tasheen. I would like to thank Anna and Rachel from Community Legal Services for helping my family to become homeowners and for keeping our family legacy alive. I would like to also thank Governor Shapiro for announcing his new housing plan, including in his reforms to help other families going through the same hardship. Thank you. I would also like to welcome Senator Hughes.
How do you follow that? I don't know.
Hard act.
That's a hard act to follow. So let me just thank the governor for being here and for the governor and his team for following up on the commitment that was made at the Wynn Plaza. If you remember, Governor, about a year ago, it was a lot warmer then, all right? Yeah. Up on 54th Street, another LIHTC project, there you go. And convening these conversations all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in every sector of the state of Pennsylvania. The urban communities, the suburban communities, the rural communities, and then coming up with this plan. And Chairman Harris and I, we both respectively chair our appropriations committees. We love it when a plan talks about more money, okay? And we love it when a plan has lots of zeros in it, like with the 1 billion, okay? We love that, Jordan? You like that? That's good stuff, all right? Because in many respects, as we work through every aspect of the housing conversation, which is what the governor's plan is seeking to do, we have to also make sure that we're driving new resources into the mix as well. And Kelvin Jeremiah is sitting right up front.
He knows how to spend money.
He's you know, he's like, you know, okay. Don't let him get the whole billion. He's going to try to get the whole billion. I can assure you of that, all right? But here we are, fully researched, fully nonpartisan, fully in every community of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania seeking feedback, fully deserving to get done. Fully deserving to get done. Governor, just step aside just 1 second. Just move over here. This is the number, hundreds of thousands of new homes. Reflect on that. All of you who are in the housing space, all of you who have been doing this work for years, and we've got the best talent. Sorry to my friends in Western Pennsylvania, but we got the best talent in the Commonwealth right here, okay, to get this done. All we need is the resources. And I know it's going to be talked about later on, but when you combine this with what Mayor Parker and the City Council are doing here in the city of Philadelphia, lives will be changed. Lives will be changed. I'm going to say it 3 times. Lives will be changed. Yesterday, Governor, I had the opportunity to do a ribbon cutting with the Mount Vernon CDC on 40th Street in Mantua, of 40 new units that have been put together. It's a LIHTC project, and it's come together. We did the ribbon cutting yesterday, and it is the example, and we have to get you down to Mantua, Governor, of the mini miracle that's happening in Mantua, all right? Because quiet as it's kept, there are about 4 or 5 different LIHTC projects happening in that one geography, okay? It's stabilizing that community. And a community that is, in many respects, the snapshot, the picture of gentrification. We've created an environment there that stabilizes that community, makes it affordable for folks in that community, and gives them an opportunity for those who lived and work in that community to take advantage of it, okay? And to live in new spaces. We can do this all across Pennsylvania, all across Pennsylvania. We can make this happen in every sector. So as we think through and listen to all of the speakers today, every last one of them, they all have something vital and important to say about this. Let's also think about those folks that we can call across Pennsylvania and say to get on board with this project. Because it's going to be the legislature that signs off on this in the end. There'll be stuff you can do by executive order, Governor, and we want to make sure that gets done. But it's going to be the legislature that can make sure that all of the systematic changes get done and the money gets appropriated as well. All right? So just look, we thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Senator.
This reflects a conversation that we had a long time ago, all right? And it's coming to fruition, and we appreciate it. We can do big things. We're doing it in the education space, all right? We can do it in the housing space. We can do it in so many more places, but let's all put our shoulder to the grindstone and get this done. Think about how we can get it done. Think about who you can call. Think about who you can get on board with this. This should be a no-brainer. This should be a no-brainer. Let's get this done. Now, it is my responsibility to introduce, coming back to the 7th Senatorial District one more time,
Yes.
all right? It's always a great place to be. I'm sorry, Jordan, all right? It's always a great place to be, all right? My good friend, the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development, Rick Seiger. Come on up, Rick. Rick. Secretary.
All right, yeah. Well, good morning, everybody. It is really great to be here today. Couldn't be more excited to be here with the governor, great colleagues, Secretary Arcus, Secretary Hussein, Robin Weissman from PHFA, partners in building this housing action plan, which is the product of over a year of research and work. It's a great feeling to be here with you today. I always say economic development is a team sport. A couple other folks I just want to acknowledge who are here today. Kelvin Jeremiah was mentioned from PHFA. Chad Lassiter is here, as well as Angela Brooks from the city, and it was noted by the senator, but of course the city of Philadelphia has been an extraordinary champion under the mayor's leadership for housing as well. You know, throughout this year plus in development, as the governor said, we had 18 roundtables all across Pennsylvania, but really hundreds more calls and Teams and Zooms to learn, to talk to partners and residents, community leaders, labor leaders, builders, developers, businesses from all across our Commonwealth. And as was noted, we received over 2,500 survey responses from every single county. This is a team sport, and I would like to say that this plan that we wrote that's sitting on your chair and you can read online is really created by Pennsylvania's team. I want to take a moment to recognize a couple people who actually wrote this thing. I did not actually write this thing. Who spearheaded not just these roundtables and this outreach, but the research and the effort to write a plan. First, Morgan Boyd, Special Assistant at DCED, who's really made this his life's work last year. Morgan was joined by like a core team, an exceptional set of collaborators, including Orlando Almonte from the governor's team, Stephanie Meyer from Secretary Arcush's team at DHS. Give it up. And Bryce Moretsky from PHFA, who I don't even know if Bryce is here. We're kind of mid-board meeting, but we'll celebrate Bryce. Thank you to those folks who really deserve a lot of credit for putting this thing on paper and getting it off the ground. Just to say a quick word about the plan. You know, we heard a lot from a lot of folks about this, but one thing we really heard is if we don't act to make housing more available and more affordable at all levels, it's going to continue to prevent Pennsylvanians from achieving their dreams and their opportunities. There's urgency here, And it demands not just a whole of government approach, but really a whole of Pennsylvania approach. And I think what I'm most encouraged about is the housing plan reflects a model that we know works. We know this because we've done it. 2.5 years ago, we put out the economic development strategy. Like the housing action plan, it called for major strategic initiatives to lay a blueprint for real results. Results like a $500 million site development fund, a $20 million annual appropriation in Main Street Matters, or the transformational work our colleagues at the Office of Transformation and Opportunity do to make Pennsylvania faster and more certain in permitting. We're going to take that same action-oriented approach with the housing plan. It's a blueprint for action, and we're going to be aggressive together in pursuing the solutions it calls for. And that's why, of course, as you've heard from our speakers so far, major components of the plan, most notably this $1 billion critical infrastructure fund, are already reflected in the governor's proposal. And I'm especially excited that the plan calls for the creation of the first ever Deputy Secretary for Housing of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be this position, while housed at DCED, is going to coordinate in a very collaborative way across agencies, the agencies here and many others, aging and state and all of the agencies of the state government that touch on housing programs, focus not just on running the programs at DCED, but on coordinating to implement this work. And I'm especially happy to announce that starting today, actually as of I think 12:01 a.m., we are accepting applications for the Deputy Secretary. We would love to get an incredible number of highly qualified candidates to take on this important work. Check it out at pa.gov. Look, from this, or come see me right after. Yeah.
You can interview with the secretary
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
We move quick.
Yeah. Look, from this new Deputy Secretary to the rest of our team in the administration, to our legislative partners, to everybody in this room that does this work day in and day out, like, this is hard. We know this is hard work, but it's important work. And here in Pennsylvania, under the governor's leadership, we're going to be aggressive in addressing these challenges. That's what this plan is about. I'm very excited to get it done. And one of the key partners in getting it done is my colleague, Secretary Dr. Val Arkush. Please, the podium is yours. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I am so proud to be here today with the governor and with all of you and so many of my colleagues who, as you just heard, we all work together on this plan. It's wonderful to be here with Secretary Hussain, Secretary Seiger, Robin Weitzman, Director at PHFA, and Rick called out a number of our staff, but I also want to just give a special thanks to my special assistant, Stephanie Meyer, who I know works with so many of you. In addition to the folks that Rick already mentioned. And there's one more person I want to give a shout out to, and that's Erin Corrigan. Erin actually set up every one of those round tables, and she brought the the draping for the tables and all those little nudgy things, banners like this. It was a heck of a lot of work, and she knocked it out of the park. So thank you to everybody who helped bring us all here together today. This plan is the result of unprecedented collaboration between the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services, the Department of Community and Economic Development, and so many others that were involved in creating it. And as you heard, there's a new leadership structure that is being created. And what's so important about that structure is that it will be a collaborative leadership structure across our agencies so that this linkage holds well into the future. As you've been hearing, the governor's housing action plan is bold. It's tackling long-standing challenges that are present in every community in the Commonwealth. It's critical to the economic future of the Commonwealth, and this plan is essential to health. I practiced medicine in Philly teaching hospitals for about 20 years, caring for many people without stable housing during that time. While inside the walls of the hospital, patients received state-of-the-art care. We would literally patch people up, treating wounds, stabilizing blood sugar, de-escalating behavioral health crisis. I could prescribe antibiotics, I could prescribe insulin. I could prescribe a treatment for withdrawal. But the one essential treatment that I could not prescribe was a home. And the minute folks walked outside the door of that hospital, they were right back in the middle of the problem that had brought them to the hospital in the first place. Well, folks, I am so proud to say that that changes today. Governor Shapiro understands that health and housing are tightly linked. This plan and his 2026 budget includes investments in health, using a small amount of state dollars to bring in additional federal dollars, $2.5 million in total, to focus on connecting housing, stable housing, to individuals with chronic medical conditions who seek help in our hospital emergency rooms day after day because they have literally nowhere else to go. This plan creates a bright future for all Pennsylvanians because housing is good for our communities, housing is good for our economy, and housing is good for our health. So thank you, Governor Shapiro. We are so excited to get this underway. We look so forward to working with all of you to get this across the finish line. And it is my honor to introduce someone who needs absolutely no introduction in this room, Mr. Ryan Boyer, the business manager for the Philadelphia Building and Construction Trades.
Thanks, guys.
I would like to start by saying a huge shout out to Governor Shapiro, your team, and the General Assembly in getting this done. Leadership matters. Yes. And Dr. Martin Luther King said, the fierce urgency of now, it's never a bad time to do the right thing. This is the right thing. We have the need, and we have the prescription for the need. We can either be articulators of the problems, or we could be the problem solvers. The governor and your team and the General Assembly has had a great antidote to what we had. And to my brothers in the back, I see my building trades brothers and my cousins, the carpenters in the back. The great Philadelphian Leon Sullivan said something great and very simple. Build, baby, build. So we want to uplift this because yes, it means union jobs. But I salute Unique Carter for having the courage, having the courage to say your story up here. Because housing is about dignity, and it's about hope, and it's about connectivity. If we don't have that, we can't lift the economy of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The governor said that in the last 2 years, we have grown this economy more than we have in the last 50 years. Imagine if we eradicate the need for affordable housing and we fix that problem. If we give Kelvin Jeremiah a lot of that money, Mo Rusky don't want him to have it, and we partner that with the Mayor's Home Initiative, it's about the synergy that we're building because we have leaders that not only see a problem, but they want to solve a problem. And you only solve problems by investing resources. So when you talk about $1 billion, that is a serious investment on a problem that we have. And this governor and his team in the General Assembly understands the power of community. I too, Unique Carr, and I wasn't going to share this story, but you're having courage, I'm having courage. One of the most traumatic experiences I had in my life was we got evicted. And the uncertainty of where you're going to live, it fueled me to be here today because I promised myself that I was not going to ever let my children have any home insecurity. That fuels me to this very day. This is a core issue. My daughter is here. She probably don't know. I could see I know what I had on. I could see my stuff on the sidewalk in brown, those boxes. It's real. And to give them affordable luxury like New Cortland has done, this is a great job you're doing. You have a future me and staying here right now that can go to school, do their homework, and excel because they have decent living conditions. It's not just about a program, it's about dignity so that you can do for self. The best social program is a great union job and great housing. Thank you, and thank the General Assembly. And I want to introduce the representative from this area, the 194th representative, Dr. Tariq Khan.
Sir?
Good to see you, sir. All right, welcome to the 194th District, East Falls. Let's give it up for East Falls. Let's give it up for Joe Duffy and the folks at New Cortland. Joe, congratulations on the tower at Henry Avenue. And also, can we get up for Max Ken, who just retired after how many years of service? 23 years of service, former Navy vet. I want to give just a quick shout out to also my colleagues who are here from the House. Got to start with my twin, Representative Ronnie Green, who also represents part of East Falls, Representative Anthony Bellman, Representative Jared Solomon, who I grew up with playing baseball, Chairman Jordan Harris, who put me on appropriations. Any other reps that are here today? I heard Rep. Doherty may be here today. Senator Hughes, you know I knock a lot of doors. I know you know this, okay? And Governor, I'm reading, the part of your book that I did read. I told him my Spotify canceled, and you have to go online on the computer to renew it.
I'll just read it to you.
He was gonna, and I'm down for that. That's pretty awesome. But one of the things that I forgot was how many doors you knocked when you ran for state rep. 18,000, right? It was actually inspiring of me to knock doors. But when I'm knocking doors in the community, I hear this a lot from people, is that rent is too damn high. The cost of living is too damn high. We have older adults who are trying to stay in the house that they live in, but they're having difficulty because things are too expensive. And also the young folks who are trying to buy a house, they can't afford to because it is too expensive to put down a down payment. They can't afford to do it. And the governor outlined the problem. We know the issue is supply. We have, in some estimates, 250,000 houses short here in Pennsylvania, and we have antiquated housing laws that we're still following. But it's something that this governor is addressing, and it's something that we're addressing in the House. Many of my colleagues who are here are co-sponsors on a bill, a package of bills that I introduced with Representative Inglis to make housing more affordable, to do common sense interventions. For example, our duplex bill. My grandmother, when her husband died and she was left a widow with 2 children to raise, she was able to invest her money to buy a duplex. She lived on the bottom floor and she rented out the top floor. And it was because of that duplex that a single mother from West Oak Lane was able to raise 2 kids working at Rite Aid. It was because of that duplex. But unfortunately, because of housing laws, things like duplex and triplex and quadplexes are illegal. We have folks that are trying to age in their house and keep their parents there. I know my parents are aging as well. And they want to build an accessory dwelling unit. And we have legislation to allow that because that too is illegal. And my favorite, a favor of the press, is our Golden Girls law, which would allow people to share housing like I did when I was in college. After college, I lived in a 2-bedroom with 4 other guys, and we made it on $500 a month for rent. So I'm very proud that this governor is listening. This administration is listening. And this House of Representatives, with our Democratic majority, is listening. And we're going to get this done. So thank you, Governor, for your leadership. This is what we need here in Pennsylvania, common sense reforms that make housing more affordable. So thank you, Governor. Thank you. And I'm honored to introduce a gentleman who is doing this work in the Senate, my friend, Senator Nikhil Sawant.
Good morning, everyone. It is such a great day here in Pennsylvania. Again, my name is Nikhil Saval. I am the state senator for the 1st Senatorial District. Thank you, Senator Hughes, for welcoming me here. Governor, housing has been actually a theme of your time as Attorney General, as Governor. I was reflecting that effectively the first time you and I were supposed to meet and collaborate on work was almost 5 years ago, when outside my district office, you were announcing a set of actions you were taking against unscrupulous landlords and in favor of protecting tenants.
You were having a baby that day, I think.
And yeah, I could not be there.
I remember.
Could not be there because we had a baby who is now almost 5 years old, but is on behalf of those future generations, people here, people like Unique, but people who are not yet here, people who are yet to come into this world, that this plan is being done. And I want to thank you for taking this incredible action, as you have year after year, but this is by far the boldest and the most exciting. So congratulations and thank you. It is an honor to be here with my colleagues in the legislature, with Secretary Saiger, Hussein, and Arkush, with the makers and the builders whose labor creates the infrastructure that keeps us warm, safe, and dry. And most of all, it is an honor to be here with Pennsylvania residents who know that the time to act on behalf of our homes, our families, and our communities is now. Our homes are ballasts for our lives. They protect our health and well-being, facilitate our access to education and jobs, anchor us in our communities, and open up opportunities for our futures. Housing is a basic human need. And right now, our neighbors and loved ones are being harmed by a housing crisis that is decades in the making. For years, dedicated housing advocates, community organizers, and Pennsylvanians in every county have worked hard to make visible the devastating impact of this crisis. This protracted crisis cuts across all geographic and political boundaries and is spurred by high costs of living, an aging housing stock, extreme weather, and a severe deficit of homes that people can afford. These overwhelming pressures are compounded with the exploitation of our housing market by anonymous corporate buyers and private equity. The solution to the housing crisis is housing. And with this plan, for the first time, our Commonwealth has the scaffolding we need to begin to meet this moment. To gain ground against this crisis, we must tackle it from every direction. This means preserving and repairing the homes we have, producing the homes we need, and protecting people's access to the homes that exist, whether those homes are rented or owned. To gain ground against this crisis, we must, as we will, coordinate across every level of government. This means passing legislation, crafting effective policies, and allocating resources to move the needle. Most of all, to gain ground against this crisis, we must work with the communities who know it so intimately to find solutions that meet people's real needs. This work isn't over until all our neighbors are safe and healthy in homes that they can afford and that keep them connected with their communities. I'm ready. We're ready. Let's do this. Thank you so much. And with that, it is my honor to bring up the chairman of the Appropriations Committee in the House, Representative Jordan Harris.
Let me say how much of an honor and a privilege it is to be here today. No, we are not in South Philadelphia.
I know where we are. You showed up.
Yeah,
so
it's,
of course
it's,
I know where we are.
it's okay.
He didn't do his whole West.
I
is
know, right?
best
Yeah,
thing.
it's okay. But thank you to my colleague for, we appreciate being in the 7th Senatorial District. It's nice. No, seriously, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you to our governor for this housing action plan. Thank you to all of the members of the administration for working diligently to put this together. Some years ago, I remember in the early 2000s, there was a guy in New York who people made fun of. He ran for mayor, he ran for governor. His name was Jimmy McMillan. And Jimmy McMillan started the Rent is Too Damn High party. And he had this haircut, and he had this beard, looked like the Hulk Hogan kind of thing going on. And he would be on the different platforms and in the different debates. And his one thing was that in New York, the rent was too damn high. And people laughed. Of course, he didn't win. People laughed at him. But he wasn't wrong then, and he ain't wrong now. And if you have housing, it's something that you can take sometimes for granted. It becomes something that, you don't think about. When I was 2 years old, my mother bought a house directly across the street from my grandmother. When I was born, we lived with my grandma. 2 years old, we moved across the street from my grandma. If you're from South Philly, you understand that's how we do it in South Philly. We don't move too far away from our family. We all live like in a 5 to 10 block radius of each other. And so my mother literally bought a house across the street from my grandmother. To this day, my mother still lives in that house that she raised me in. I'm 41 years old, I'll be 42 this year, so it was almost 40 years ago that my mother realized the American dream of home ownership. Because of that decision that my mother made, I never worried about what my address would be. I would tell you, but then people be showing up at my mom's house. And I don't want that. But for my entire life, until I became an adult and bought my own house, that was my address. It was something that I could take for granted. Even when my mother lost her job and we had to go on public assistance, she owned the house. So, we had to play games with PICO and PGW every now and then. Don't tell them, look, statute of limitations ran out on that years ago. But anyway, if you don't know about getting a medical cert and all that stuff, never mind. But I joke about it, but the truth is, because she owned the house, even though we had all of these other problems, I never had to worry about where I was going to sleep that night. It was something I was able to just take for granted that I lived on 17th Street. Do you know how many young people are struggling in our schools today because of housing instability? I'm a former school teacher. I've stood in the classroom and I've taught social studies to our young people in this very city. And I can tell you that there are many of our young people who start the school year at one address but finish at another. And it is that housing insecurity that affects their ability to attend class. It affects their ability to go home and study at night. It affects their ability to be academically prepared because of something they don't control. And so, this plan, this investment, it's not a nice to have. It really is a must have. And it is easy for us who know where we're going to live to not think about it. But I submit to you that there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvanians who the first of the month is not a good time of the year for them. They're thinking about how I'm gonna pay this and how I gotta pay it, put a little bit on here so that I can pay this and put a little bit down here so I can pay this. Well, nobody know anything about it? My grandma used to call it robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now, I don't know who Peter or Paul is, but I feel bad for both of those brothers. But that's what we used to do. True story. I was at one of my fraternity brothers' homes as I became an adult, and I looked at his cable bill, and the amount owed was $0, right? he had paid his whole cable bill. And I looked at him like, you pay your whole bill?
It's not bitter or false.
And he was like, yeah. Like, what's wrong with you? And like, for the life of me, growing up, it was always whatever was the minimum due. We were gonna pay the minimum. Y'all act like y'all know what I'm talking about. You pay what's minimum due so that your money can stretch so you can do all of these other things. Why? Because the rent is just too damn high. And so what the governor is doing here, what we're lucky to have in our leadership in the city of Philadelphia with Mayor Parker and Council President Johnson and what they're doing with this $2 billion. In last year's budget, we changed some language to allow the city of Philadelphia to do up to a 20-year tax abatement for residential property if they were converting old government, school buildings and whatnot into residential. We provided them the flexibility to do that. I was just out in Montgomery County. See Commissioner Winder here. We were just out in Montgomery County. She's doing some projects out there in traditional, transitional housing and wants to look to see how we can expand more in Montgomery County. Because here's the thing, people, this ain't just a Philadelphia problem. Housing ain't a Democrat or Republican issue. It ain't a rural, urban, or suburban issue. It's an everybody issue. And so on this, look, we'll have our political arguments. We'll have our debates. That's what we do. It's actually good for our political system when we all have differing opinions and we come together to find a solution collectively. But on this is foundational. Where you put your head down at the end of the night to rest your body, it should be a right guaranteed to all of us. You can't have life or liberty or pursue happiness without a home. There's no way to do it. And so, Governor, I'm grateful for your leadership. I'm grateful to all of my colleagues in the General Assembly. We will do the work necessary to address this issue, not because it's a nice to have, not because it looks cute, because it is a must-have for all Pennsylvanians. And with this, my friend Donna Bullock, she runs an organization called Project Home. Kelly, we work very good with them, and y'all building homes all over the city of Philadelphia. There's one thing that Project Home says that has stuck in my heart. None of us are home until all of us are home. Thank you so much.
I want to just say a word about the chairman, who's a real partner in progress to me. Understand how this all works. A year ago, I signed the executive order, putting together the action that led to this plan, setting the table for all of you in this room to come together and work with Secretary Sagar and Arkush and Hussein. And I want to thank you for that. And then today we came back and reported on that work. Embedded in the budget that I submitted to the General Assembly for their consideration is not only this new $1 billion critical infrastructure fund, but all these reforms that are going to be necessary to help folks like Unique and others. And now the ball is in the court of the legislature to carry this forward and to get it done. I can think of no one better in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be the majority chairman in the Appropriations Committee at a time where we've got to get something foundational done like this than Jordan Harris. And so I want to thank you for not just being a partner to me and to my administration, but to working with all of your colleagues here to ensure that as we've done with education, where we've increased funding for our schools by 30%, as we've done on public safety, where we've spent billions of dollars on public safety and reduced crime by 12%, fatal gun violence by 43%, as we've done on economic development, investing billions of dollars there and having the only growing economy and creating jobs in this Commonwealth. We have found a way to do that, and each and every time we've done that, the budget that I have signed has come from this gentleman's desk. So I want to say thank you to Chairman Harris and to all of our legislative leaders who are here. We appreciate you. We're going to work hard for you, and I want to thank everyone for your hard work in being here today. God bless you all. Let's get this done. Let me invite Secretary Seiger from the Department of Community and Economic Development, Secretary Arkus, come on up here, Department of Health and Human Services, and Secretary Hussein, who was in the stairwell with me. There he is, our Secretary of Policy. So we'll take a few questions.
Katie, you want to start?
Governor, much of the housing action plan that was released today requires action from the General Assembly, action from local governments. How do you ensure that this actually gets done?
Yeah. Some I can do by executive action, and a lot does require the legislature to act and to work in concert with local government. The good news is we work really well with our local governments. For example, on permitting, where we've gone from kind of worst in the nation to best in the nation, a big part of a development requires, yes, a state permit, but also a local permit as well. And we've been able to work with them to move projects quickly through the process. So we've got a trust with our local communities, and we're going to build on that trust. As it relates to the legislature, I hear in rural, urban, suburban communities, districts led by Democrats and Republicans, the need for more housing. I've put out a concrete plan, both funding and on reform. It's time for them to act. The good news is I have heard positive feedback from them. And I would say to any lawmaker that doesn't like my idea, what's yours? Because we can no longer wait. We have got to get this done. We've got to build more housing. We've got to reform our housing laws.
How much of that $1 billion critical infrastructure pot do you anticipate going towards housing?
Well, look, it is all going to be subject to negotiation with the legislature, but I would hope the lion's share of it would go to housing. We need it, and that's the designs on this critical infrastructure project.
Harrison, anything, city and state?
Yeah. How quickly do you actually expect, shovels in the ground? You talked about how immediate you're trying to get all this moving.
Within the next couple of weeks, Secretary Seiger and I are going to announce that first round of the $10 million pilot, and those projects are ready to go, and we want to get shovels in the ground, within weeks or so thereafter.
Bruce, WC10.
Yes, Governor, how you doing? Hi. I'm coming off the housing topic. The U.S. Congress just passed the SAVE Act, which allows, they want to allow people to register, have to use their ID to be registered voters, have to use their ID to go vote. Are Pennsylvania election officials prepared or preparing for such a law to be implemented?
Well, first off, the SAVE Act is designed to nationalize our elections. That's why I am vehemently opposed to it. The idea that we would turn over our elections to Donald Trump, given his track record of election denialism, given his track record of taking me to court 43 different times during the 2020 election to try and overturn the will of the people here in Pennsylvania. By the way, he went 0-43, I went 43-0, and we had a free and fair, safe and secure election. The last person who should be running our elections in the United States is Donald Trump. I don't think this will ever reach his desk, just given the dynamics in the Senate, which is a good thing. And that is because elections are run by the states and by our counties. It's right there in our Constitution. And what we have seen in Pennsylvania is remarkable work from Republican and Democratic clerks of elections in all 67 counties. Remarkable work from my Secretary of State, Al Schmidt, who, by the way, is a Republican, because we believe the administration of elections should be nonpartisan. And we're going to keep it that way, and we're going to continue to respect the will of the people here in Pennsylvania. And we are not going to turn our elections over to Donald Trump.
Have you had a conversation with the Secretary about possibility of something like that happening and preparing for it?
We're prepared for the midterms to continue to be run by our counties, Republican and Democratic alike, with our local clerks, your neighbors who run these elections, and we're prepared to make sure we once again have a free and fair, safe and secure election.
Anything else on topic?
Just a question about how this, interacts with Mayor Parker's plan. She has this housing plan.
Yeah.
Kind of the differences in how that, and it seems like both of you are moving towards housing as a key priority.
Yeah, Mayor Parker and I talk all the time, and I was thrilled when she moved forward on creating a city fund to be able to generate more resources for housing. We work not in competition, but in collaboration with the city. By working with the city, we'll be able to not just put dollars in as the city will put dollars in, but we'll work together to reform an ordinance that needs changing along with the state law that needs updating so that we can instead work together to move more quickly. So the mayor and I are on the same page and grateful for her leadership. This is an issue she campaigned on. She saw it through and she got council to support her initiative, and I appreciate her leadership.
And last one, Katie, last call.
Yeah, you were among a letter from Democratic governors boycotting the NGA dinner with the president after he disinvited two governors. Can you speak to your decision and whether you intend to attend any events with the president and the NGA?
You know, I will tell you at this point, I don't even know what is on and what is not on. And maybe I'll just give you a little background and then I'll answer your question head on. Typically, when we have our National Governors Association meeting in D.C., which is next week, I think, right? Next week. We gather together in a series of meetings and work together really well. Governors work really well together across party lines. And then we will go to the White House typically for a half day or so, meet with the cabinet, meet with the president and others. It's usually a very, very constructive meeting. And then I think later that evening there's a dinner where governors and their spouses come together. So that's typically what happens. It would appear that the governor disinvited some of my colleagues, including my dear friend Wes Moore in Maryland. I want to be very clear. I'm not attending any meeting or any dinner where any governor has been disinvited, where any governor is being excluded. It's my hope that all governors will be included and that we can continue the tradition of working together across our state lines to be able to do important work for the people that we represent.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.